Tonight, students of a Toronto high school stage a mass walkout protesting the poor conditions of their school.
You think you're learning, then it's screaming and chaos happens. It instantly throws you off.
These students of York Memorial Collegiate want the TDSB to know they are fed up, saying they feel unsafe, unheard, and abandoned by the teachers and the school system. Plus,
this is a very important time of year for us. I mean, we do about 35 to 40% of our income during this time of year.
business owners on Dundas Street West are getting worried about their bottom line during the busiest time of the year as emergency sewer work forces the closure of a busy stretch. And
butchers have a long tradition of giving back to their communities. That's a tradition I've always taken very seriously.
Well-known local butcher David Brown is doing just that tonight, serving up a delicious deli dinner for seniors to raise money and bring some cheer ahead of the holidays. Good evening, I'm Kelda Yoon. Dozens of students from York Memorial Collegiate walked out of their high school today, wanting to bring attention to a situation they say is keeping them from learning. Now, the students say they feel abandoned by their teachers and the TDSB, citing poor learning conditions and an unsafe environment. Ali Chiasson was at the rally.
So what does it feel like in the school? Does it feel crowded? Does it feel dangerous?
It's crowded, you know, there's like not a lot of people in their classes.
Tell me what it's like in the school these days.
I just don't feel safe in the back rooms. I can smell drugs in the hallways. I just feel really unsafe. And I think the school needs to take accountability and do the right thing.
The Toronto District School Board thought the right thing to do was to move York Memorial Collegiate students into the George Harvey School building after the original York memo burned down in 2019, but it hasn't gone well.
Fights here happen like daily or weekly.
And is that through like just school rivalry or the fact that it's so crowded and you have two schools in one?
I think it's both, honestly. Maybe people have certain animosity towards other people from other different areas, and it's all very crowded, so people are feeling very cramped, and that could honestly all add up to the hostility.
Fearing for their safety, 14 teachers walked off the job last month, but today it's the students who've had enough.
Education is a human right! Education is a human right!
Personally, I have not had a teacher in my 3rd and 4th period classes for over a week. I have not had access to my education or learning materials. Instead, students are being labeled as the problem.
Teachers deciding to stay home, claiming they're unsafe, leaves us stranded and lost. As an honor roll student, I have not missed this many assignments in my life because it isn't impossible to learn in an environment like this.
The Director of Education showed up to the student press conference.
We are listening to you, and the listening will continue next week.
It became clear that listening wasn't going to be enough.
We have the strategies here. Are you going to listen? It's a simple yes or no, and you're going to do them. Thank you.
Yes, we are going to listen. Yes, we are going to conduct an investigation into what led to what you've experienced.
The police have been called to the school multiple times in recent weeks to break up fights. That's something Russell Rollins won't budge on.
We will call police when there is an escalating issue where we're worried about individual safety, but we absolutely we will. Absolutely, that's a commitment.
The TDSB says it plans to announce a permanent administration for York Memorial Collegiate next week. There's hope among students and the board that stability will help. Ali Chiasson, CBC News, Toronto.
Emergency crews in Mississauga have been working through the evening to rescue a construction worker believed to be trapped underground at a work site. Police and firefighters were called to the site at here Ontario Street and Burnhamthorpe Road at around 3:30 this afternoon for reports of flooding. Police say a pipe had ruptured, filling up a chamber with water. Several workers were able to get out, but one person is still unaccounted for. The rescue operation is still active. Crews are working to pump the water out of the chamber. Peel police have released shocking video of a woman being attacked in Brampton, and they're warning residents in the area to be extra vigilant until the suspect is found. Now, this is security video from last night at around 6:30 in the area of Higgins Crescent and Parkside Drive. The woman is approached from behind by the suspect, who attempts to put a bag over her head and then strikes her. Now, luckily, the woman was not seriously injured. The suspect fled the area on foot. He is described as approximately 6'1", wearing a light-colored hoodie and dark sweatpants. Business owners on Dundas Street West say emergency work on a sewer line could have a huge impact on their bottom line during the holiday season. For many, their busiest time of the year. Now, the line is more than 150 years old, and water that's leaking from it has been eroding the earth underneath the road, which could lead to a sinkhole if left too long. Greg Ross has more.
A couple of months ago, Sherry Luna Jokic, who owns Beetle Craft Shop, started having issues with her plumbing. She could smell sewage coming through her pipes, and the basement of her shop eventually flooded.
Spillage out onto the floor, which we had to clean up and call an emergency plumber.
The plumber determined that the problem originated in the city's sewage lines. The city was called in to investigate. At first, it seemed like an easy fix, but they quickly realized they had a much bigger problem on their hands.
As we were tunneling, we came across a very large void underneath the TTC tracks and realized that the issue there was obviously a little bit bigger than we thought.
That void was created by a hole in the sewage line. What was originally thought to be a 2 to 3 week job was now going to take months.
We had to dig, which means that we actually have to cut the tracks, TTC streetcar tracks, remove the concrete base and dig down to the sewer.
Dundas Street West is now closed between Sheridan Avenue and Brock Avenue, and the city was forced to divert streetcars. The construction will take until at least the end of January to complete.
The timing is absolutely horrible.
This work will continue right through the busy holiday season, and business owners in the area are worried about the potential impact.
This is a very important time of year for us. I mean, we do about 35 to 40% of our income during this time of year, just before the holiday season.
Benito Tavares, who owns Tavares Oriental Rug, says the better scenario would have been for the city to wait until after the holidays to begin the work, when business is much slower.
Had they done something to sort of just mitigate the issue a little bit and then work on it after the holidays, you know, it's a thought that definitely runs through our heads.
The city says that simply wasn't an option.
That sewer services that entire area. We can't just shut the sewer down for an extended period of time. We can't do it.
The city says they're trying to get this work done as quickly as possible. In fact, they're working around the clock. They expect to have the sewer replaced by the end of this month, but then they have to replace the streetcar tracks on top, and that's going to take another month after that. Greg Ross, CBC News, Toronto.
A councillor in a GTA township is raising concerns about the future of a parcel of protected farmland. Now, the land in the township of King, just west of Newmarket, is part of the Green Belt and the Oak Ridges Moraine. The Ford government wants to open it up for housing. The local council wants the province to put a hospital there instead, but one councillor fears it will also come with a subdivision. Ryan Patrick Jones has the details.
This farmland in King Township sits right across the street from Newmarket. Its proximity to existing subdivisions there is one of the reasons the province wants to open it up for housing. But the King Town Council wants to use it for a new South Lake Regional Health Centre campus instead.
The area that we've been looking at borders the Newmarket. It's where there's rapid transit, where there's municipal servicing, and where staff can get back and forth easily.
The hospital has been searching for a location to build a second site to deal with overcrowding. It hasn't expanded in almost 20 years, during which time emergency room visits have skyrocketed and patient stays lengthened.
According to the standards today, just to meet the needs that we're serving right now, we should be 89% bigger than we are. So our need is great.
The developer who paid $80 million for 5 properties there just 2 months ago is reportedly willing to donate land for a nominal fee. But the hospital would only take up part of the area that's being cleared for development. And this local councillor is concerned about what will be built on the rest of the site.
At no time has that land ever been identified as being designated for growth. Ever. Not, at least not until 2051, which is like 3 decades from now. To put a subdivision or even plan for a subdivision, say 10 years from now, at that location, it's ludicrous. It makes no sense.
As a farmer and councillor, Eek knows the importance of protecting agricultural land. She fears the donation will be used as a bargaining chip to force residential development the town hasn't planned for.
There is no need for housing at that location. To have to make a deal to say, yeah, we'll take the hospital if you can develop the land. I think that's not very nice.
King's mayor says the offer to donate the land was made without any conditions attached, and he isn't aware of any plans to build homes just yet.
We're not sure. We haven't seen a site plan application or anything.
CBC Radio Canada reached out to the developer to ask about the future plans for the land, but didn't receive a response. Premier Doug Ford was asked about the site today.
Don't you need to add healthcare that we know is badly needed in that area before you grow the population there?
Well, that's actually in our plans. I know South Lake is putting together plans, submitting into the Ministry of Health, and that's one of our priorities.
The Ministry of Municipal Affairs and Housing says it's received King Council's request to build a hospital, but reiterated that opening the Greenbelt would lead to the creation of at least 50,000 new homes. Ryan Patrick Jones, CBC News, Toronto.
Let's go to meteorologist Colette Kennedy now with a first check on your forecast. And Colette, we are anticipating some pretty strong winds tomorrow.
Yeah, here we go again, just like a few days ago. And the only kind of bright spot in this, I suppose, is that it doesn't last as long as that system did. We ended up with almost 2 days of very windy conditions. This is more of a one-day event for Saturday. And just having a look then, Environment Canada has issued the special weather statement for all of these areas with those winds gusting to 70, even 80 kilometers an hour. And then a few areas we have, including up the Bruce Peninsula, parts of eastern Ontario, and for the Niagara region, that's a wind warning where some of those gusts may be up to 90 kilometers an hour. So we've had some pockets of kind of the rain showers that are pushing through, but then we get a break in the overnight period, and then tomorrow morning more of it, and that will likely last to around the lunch hour or just before. Then, and it's mild till then, by the way, and then the winds change direction in the afternoon. Cold air starts moving in, and the temperature will be dropping down, and we'll even see some snow squalls setting up. So a lot of activity on our Saturday, but there's that temperature story, up and then back down again.
Thanks so much, Colette. A local restaurateur is giving back to his community this season the best way he knows how, with food. David Brown is a longtime butcher and the owner of Fearless Meat in the Upper Beaches. Tonight, he showed up at a local community center to serve a delicious smoked meat dinner. And as Tyler Cheese tells us, the meal not just a way to bring some early holiday cheer, it's raising money for a good cause as well.
David Brown says he's always looking for ways to pay it forward to his community. That's why he's shown up to this seniors dinner at Community Center 55 with enough meat to feed everyone, and then some.
Well, it's Montreal smoked meat. We bring it in from Montreal. It's made by Lester's. They do the curing and brining and smoking in Montreal, and then we finish it off for about 3 hours in our restaurant. And we hand slice it to order in a traditional way. Thicker, thinner, fatter, leaner, whatever way people want it.
Lovely, thank you.
Every meal served tonight is donated by Brown's restaurant Fearless Meat.
Butchers have a long tradition of giving back to their communities. And in the days before they had food banks, butchers were the local food banks. So it's a tradition I've always taken very seriously.
Community Center 55 hosts a seniors dinner a few times a year to raise money for the local community.
The revenue that we get from this event is going to be going to our Share a Christmas program, where we provide grocery assistance and gifts for, last year we did about 900 families in the neighborhood.
Staff say it's also nice to provide a social outlet for local seniors.
And especially coming out of the pandemic, when we've all been a little bit isolated, we've all been a little bit disconnected from our loved ones and from our peers.
And when it comes to the food,
fantastic, you know. There was a lot of it, good servings, and those dill pickles were to die for.
But attendees say the company is just as important.
The people that you meet coming to the dinners, once a month, they all remember each other, and it's just it's a nice coming together, especially after the pandemic.
As for Brown, he's happy to participate in dinners like this one as often as he can.
I've done a lot of great charity events in the past, a lot more to come, and I'm very fortunate to have my restaurant, Fearless Meat, which is going to spearhead these events going forward.
Tyler Cheese, CBC News, Toronto.
It's that time of year. CBC Toronto's Sounds of the Season is back for our 20th year. To celebrate, Metro Morning hosted a special show at the Glen Gould studio early this morning.
Welcome to a special edition of Metro Morning, live from Glenn Gould's studio. It's Sounds of the Season on CBC Radio 1.
It has been very difficult, but the Daily Bread Food Bank and food banks all across the GTA have risen to the occasion, and we will continue to do that and honor our commitment that if ever somebody needs food, we'll be there.
Various people are making use of it. It's like your next door neighbor or you know, like we are all in this together. So like, let's just help each other.
To be honest, Daffy Duck's the real star here, right? I mean.
Where was the first food bank in Canada? Smila.
Edmonton, 81?
Yeah, 81, yes, and you got the year. That was gonna be the bonus. You guys need to catch up to Smila.
It was great, lots of fun. Yeah, nice to actually see the people I listen to all the time in person.
All right,
Welcome back. With just days to go until the deadline, so far the Ontario NDP leadership race isn't much of a race at all. Only one candidate has confirmed, MPP Marit Stiles. Lorena Redekop has more on what could be a lonely race for opposition leader and what that could mean.
I'm launching my campaign to lead the Ontario NDP.
Marit Stiles got into the race in September and still doesn't have any competition. That day, 3 other MPPs were among those standing behind her. Now 8 caucus members officially back her. The most recent one, Jennifer French, added just today.
It's just people are getting behind Marit. I think what I'm hearing when the folks I'm talking to about this campaign, there's a lot of excitement behind Marit.
This week, she was asked if she'll have any competition.
Well, we'll wait and see. Still some time left. And my team and I, we're just focused right now, and we always have been, on the race ahead. This is really about building our movement to defeat the government, the Ford government, in 2026.
Today, Wayne Gates confirmed he's decided not to run. MPP Chris Glover said last week he was kicking the tires on a potential bid. MPP Sol Mamakwa has also expressed interest. The lack of a race resulted in this dig from the government.
Nobody's interested in their leadership race. Nobody's interested in their policy.
Beyond the politics, it could raise questions for the public, says one political scientist.
They may ask why there isn't, more debate within that party. Is there a lack of talent in that party if they aren't able to put other candidates forward? But ultimately, I don't think Ontarians follow leadership races in their parties that closely.
For whoever is leader, he says the challenge will be attracting more Toronto and GTA support, in addition to the working class support previous leader Andrea Horwath built.
How do you add those people into a coalition without losing the Horwath base to the Conservatives who are out there trying to make the case that they're speaking for working people?
If there is a late entry into the race, they need 100 nomination signatures from across the province.
We've seen this in municipal elections. We've seen this in provincial elections. Somebody comes in at the last minute.
So a race could still happen. Stiles has a big head start signing up new members and gaining endorsements, including one from the Steelworkers Union.
I call it the Steelworkers sweepstakes. In leadership races past, those who have gotten the Steelworkers endorsements have tended to end up winning the leadership.
The deadline to join is Monday. Lorena Redekop, CBC News, Toronto.
You are looking at a live shot of the Toronto skyline. Partly cloudy this evening with some scattered showers and a wind warning in effect for the GTA and much of southern Ontario. Temperatures pretty mild though, currently 9 degrees in the city. Now for more on those strong winds, let's go back to Colette. Colette, as you mentioned, it is looking to be a one-day event.
Yeah, so it is a one-day event. The winds will change direction, but regardless, it's windy whichever direction they're coming from. We do always have to be kind of careful that we don't have tree limbs coming down then, and that can bring power lines down. So you do want to make sure your devices are charged for one thing at least. And just looking at the rain that accompanies this, I know we've had some wet weather, but we get into a break through the overnight, and then we'll see it come back early tomorrow morning and then kind of lasting to probably ending before we get to the lunch hour. I was showing earlier in the show show, we are in a weather statement. So the special weather statement for the GTA for the strong winds where they'll gust to 70 or even 80 kilometers an hour, but also those areas with the wind warning where it's more like 90. And then that cold air pushing over the lakes. Yeah, we'll get into some lake effect snow coming back later in the day tomorrow, as well as the temperature is falling. So many things going on. Mild tonight and early tomorrow morning. And that's why it's coming in the form of rain. Then once those winds shift to the west, then northwest, you can see in the lee of Georgian Bay, southeast, and southeast of Lake Huron shores also we'll see some of the squalls. But as those winds die off tomorrow night, then those things will back off, and that actually gives us a little bit of improvement, right, as we go into Sunday, because we should be seeing, although the skies will be variable, some sunshine in there, and that'll be nice because the temperatures are going to be cooler once we get into that second half of the weekend. The wind story, you can see just how strong we're talking about. The models picking up some of those gusts over 70, but like I said, we could be seeing much more than that even. It also shows the direction here as they were shifting around west and then northwest, but then as we get into Sunday, eventually we're going to see a turn again, so that the beginning of next week, the temperatures will start to come up again. So much going on. Temperatures tonight, like I said, steady or coming up, so mild we just don't get to keep it through the day. That will be falling to about 1 degree in the afternoon and -3 overnight, and there's that cooler but sunnier day on Sunday and a few fluctuations, Kelda, into next week too.
All right, thanks so much, Colette. A special holiday concert was put on today by students from Drury Secondary School in North York for a nearby long-term care home. Drury is one of 4 TDSB schools for developmentally delayed teenagers. One of the class choirs looking to spread some early holiday cheer this afternoon, performing Christmas carols for residents of Cummer Lodge.
We all love to sing. Singing makes us happy. Singing brings joy to us and to so many people. We know how much warmth music brings to everyone. Music connects all of us here and all around the world.
Students have 2 shows a year at Cummer Lodge. The performance was recorded and will be distributed to the parents of everyone who performed today. And that is our show for you tonight and for the week. Thank you so much for watching. Shannon Martin has your next local newscast tomorrow at 6. I will see you back here on Monday. Have a great weekend, everyone.